All right, we are back on the Frazer Smith Show. We are presented by the accident attorneys at sweetjames.com. If you've been hurt in an accident, call 1-800-9-MILLION or CarShield. Oh, look who's joining us right now. The rap legend, TV star, Ice-T.
Yeah, buddy.
There he is. And we have your friend John Watts, producer, author. He is also with us today. You have your new... We'll start with this because you have so much stuff to go over, but Bluntheads. Tell us about the Bluntheads.
Well, John Watts, a.k.a. John Boy, is one of my childhood friends. You know what I'm saying? We were out in the streets back in the day doing all kind of nefarious things, trying to get ahead, but now all of us have gone legit. We're square. And,
too bad.
Too bad. But it's safer.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Longevity.
It's better for everybody else. So John Boy came up with this idea to do a cartoon based around cannabis characters that are blunts that talk to each other and have experiences. And he called the family the Bluntheads. And of course, me being his friend, he said, "Ice Man, I need you to play Papa Blunt." And Coco playing Sticky. But it's a comedy. John could tell you more about it, but right now everybody's creating content and just trying to come up with something creative, and it also happens to connect with the cannabis space. It's funny. So tell them more about it, John Boy.
Yes. I actually came up with this idea back in 2005. It was November 16th. I was actually sitting around, and this young man was talking, saying he was on his way home. And another guy said, "Well, what are you going to do when you go home?" He said, "I'm going to go to McDonald's, get a Big Mac, and I'm going to smoke a blunt." And at this time, I didn't know what a blunt was. So I looked at the guy and said, "What is a blunt?" He said, "Oh, you cut a cigar, they put weed in it, and you get high." And I looked at him and looked at the guy, and he walked away. I said, "Yeah, he's going to end up being the blunt head." And as soon as I said that, I grabbed my pen and paper because I'm an artist, and I drew a sketch and just put it in the envelope. And then now we are 20 years old later, got a whole entire family.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there you saw a show when he said that. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's awesome, man. I want to go back to the early days of hip hop, and what I love about Ice is that, he's not only a hip hop star and rap star, he also loves rock. And this is a rock station, KLOS. I know you're familiar with that, and I know you learned. I read where you learned a lot of stuff from your cousin early on about Zeppelin and Sabbath and all those classic rock bands, and you kind of cross over all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, thanks to KLOS and KMET, your other, competitor in LA, those were the two rock stations. And when I lost my parents when I was, in the third grade. I lost my mother when I was in the third grade, my father when I was in the seventh. And I was shipped to LA to live with my cousin. Now, my cousin, he thought he was Jimi Hendrix. He couldn't play any instrument. But he would tie scarves around his leg and play air guitar. But he was a stone rocker. So I had to share a room with him, when that means I had to listen to these records. So by the end of the day, after I lived with them for 3 years, I knew everything from Edgar Winter to Blue Oyster Cult to Boston, ELO, and I started to get into heavier stuff. I mean, I went all the way like Mata Hoople, but I knew every rock band backwards and forwards, and I started to get more into the darker stuff. I started to like the Black Sabbath,
right,
the Blue Oyster Cult, the Deep Purple, more heavy stuff. At the same time, I was listening to Parliament Funkadelic with George Clinton.
Sure, George.
So I had to mix, and I was around when punk started to happen. And as punk started to happen, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, groups like that, I was like, that's kind of like rap, like the energy.
That same energy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
but it was white kids. Fugazi, all these different groups. So I'm like, okay.
Henry Rollins.
Well, that was Black Flag.
Yeah.
Before Rollins Band. So I'm listening to this, and I'm listening to commercials up at the Whiskey when Black Flag would play. Hey, Bill Gates, we're coming for your daughter. Black Flag.
Yeah. Rise above.
So all the energy was there, and I didn't never know I was gonna mesh it together. I was just aware of all the music, and I understood a lot more music. And I tell people, Frazer, I say, if you work at a Jamaican restaurant, you don't know anything about reggae. Within the first week, you'll be able to pick out of the playlist the ones you like better.
Sure.
By the second week, you might even be able to sing one. By a month, you'll be able to make the playlist.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's just listening to enough music. And I mean, everybody from Neil Young to, I know all of it because of your radio station.
Wow.
You were
That's
open
awesome.
to
And you
listen to
remember
it,
KMET too, right? The legendary.
I used to listen to Dr. Demento.
Yeah, man. That was my buddy. Great, great guy. And the stuff he had on there was groundbreaking. That's where you first heard Weird Al, and a lot of those guys.
Yep, Spike Jones, all that stuff. So I was into that stuff because at that time as a kid, when I was growing up, you didn't have a million channels. You didn't have the internet. You had that radio. That was it, you know? And I would stay in the room and listen to the radio. I didn't have a TV in my bedroom, but to come out and watch TV, I had to sit with my aunt and uncle, and that wasn't a fun time. So I would stay in the room and just listen to the radio, and I was force-fed KLOS. I was force-fed.
Wow. Yeah, man. Well, I was fired by both those stations. We have, guys, we got the new Bluntheads show. You can get it on the app, right?
Yes, sir.
And tell us about that. Tell us how you get it, and tell us how it got started.
Yes. Well, again, I guess it got started when I saw a gentleman, on the way home, and he talked about, going to smoke a blunt. So I created a character.
How'd you come up with the different characters?
Well, first of all, it's almost like I went all the way back to like the Bible. First, God made, do I even know the Bible?
I think he started with Adam and Eve, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Okay.
And they were smoking a blunt.
Adam. Yeah.
That was a very blunt head.
Come on, they were the first. They were the first Bluntheads.
Yeah. So
Jesus
anyway,
is on zigzags.
So I looked at it. Okay, God created Adam. Then He said Adam should not be alone. So then He created Eve, and then next thing you know, the whole world was started. So I kind of did that. I started with the one Blunt, and then I said I don't want Mr. Blunt to be alone. So I gave him a wife, Mrs. Blunt. And then I said, they need to have a couple kids. Then I gave them Kush and Keisha. Then I said, well, do you have any family? Then he had a brother named Uncle Blunt. They called him Bubba. And then Uncle Blunt came out. He did some time in prison, and he came home, and then he started growing weed, and he became a billionaire and created a town called Blunt Hills. So now everybody around there looked like blunt paper. And then I decided, okay, it shouldn't be all blunt paper. I need to mix it up. So then I decided to take zigzags to make them white people. And then I decided to take cigarettes to make them people from the UK. And then I said, okay, I need somebody a little bit darker than the blunts. Then I picked up Black and Miles. And those people from Africa and Nigeria.
Wow.
So right now I got about 38 characters.
Man, and Kush is a great name for a kid. Okay, that's awesome, man. We're excited for the Bluntheads. And Ice, the early days of rap, hip hop actually back then, it was what, maybe mid '80s that where it first started to appear.
On the West Coast, it had started. You got different generations of hip hop. The first generation of hip hop is unrecorded hip hop. That's when the kids were in New York doing it in the streets, and they weren't making records yet. This is before Rapper's Delight. There was a whole scene before they actually started making records with Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah.
Funky Floor plus one more. Then I think the world heard about it with Sugar Hill Gang, with Rapper's Delight. Probably one of the most famous rap records of all time. Then people realized, hey, this is really a commodity. We can start making records, and you ended up with things like Def Jam and all these different, Rick Rubin was involved with it. But on the West Coast, it happened later. Early West Coast hip hop was more like Egyptian Lover and stuff like that. It was kind of more techno based.
Sure.
And I came out in LA, and I was like one of the first rappers that were rapping like New York rappers. And I also introduced what they call gangster rap because coming from LA, we had the gang situation, culture, you know?
Yeah.
So I rapped from that perspective and added that to hip hop, which couldn't have been added from New York because New York don't have the LA gang. So everybody that touches hip hop, the South, the North, wherever, they put their own twist on it, which makes it so unique.
Did you come up with Dre and Snoop and those guys, or were you before them?
I actually had my album out before them, but I was friends with Dre, Cube. Ice-T dropped Rhyme Pays 2 years before Straight Outta Compton came out. But all of those are my friends. Because at the time, everybody that was involved in hip-hop, we all knew each other.
Yeah.
So I knew Dre, I knew Cube, I knew Easy, I knew all them. And actually, I used to take them on tour with me before they dropped their album. So, yeah, that puts me as the first.
Well, one thing I thought was awesome was just the way you guys put your hometown on the map. You know, South Central, Compton. You know, it's, of course, now worldwide. Everybody knows about Compton. And I think that's so cool when you can do that with your hometown and represent.
Well, you know what, Frazer? Rap is cheerleading. Rap is cheerleading. So if I was going to rap and you're from KLOS, you're going to rap about KLOS because that's how you build a fan base.
That's what
if
you
you're
know.
from a school, you rap about that school. Then you rap about that city. Then you rap about that coast. But you got to get your neighborhood behind you. So it's very territorial. That's just part of the culture. So, you know, the Brooklyn rappers rap about being from Brooklyn. Kids from the Bronx, Manhattan. So you definitely want to stamp where you're from. The funny thing is Compton made such a big noise that people meet me and go, "Oh, you're from Compton." I'm like, "No, I'm from South Central." Different places.
Now, you know, you're the longest running TV star, male TV star in history on Law and Order. That's pretty awesome credit, man.
I never thought it would be like that. I went on SVU. It's my 5th show with Dick Wolf. I did New York Undercover. I did Swift Justice. I did Law and Order Exiled. I did a show called Players. And when he called me to do SVU, I told him no, because I was in LA trying to run a record label. And he said, "Come on, give me 4 shows." And I did 4 episodes, and it's been 27 years.
Wow. That's a record, man. That's unbelievable. Congratulations on that. Hey, and you know, a friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, Belzer, say a few words about Belz, because he was my buddy and worked with you for a lot of years.
Belzer was the best. I mean, you know, the thing of it is, it's like, I come in, you know, gangster rapper, Ice-T, this, that, and the other. They thought I was the problem. And when I got there, Belzer was so much wilder than me. Belzer was ill. Belzer was smoking weed, getting drunk. And, you know, Belzer was telling me some wild stories. And he's like my OG. He's the one that taught me about episodic drama television because he had done Homicide for so long.
Right.
And he just told me to drill. My favorite line from Belzer, he says, "Ice-T, you know what I look for in a script?" I'm like, "What, Belz?" He goes, "Days off."
That's a pro. Yeah, that's a pro. That's right. Well, he was awesome, man.
No matter how dark you got, Belzer could go darker.
Oh yeah. I could see that.
He was telling me some wild ass stories. I was like, "Yo, Belz, you're the gangster out of us. I mean, come on, Belz."
Wow, he was the OG. Well, definitely. I always loved him. I guess we all loved him. All the comics, we knew him pretty well.
They're like rappers.
The Colors theme song, he was so good. John, wasn't he great on that Colors theme song, Ice-T?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that was, I think, way ahead. That seemed to be like one of the first examples of gangster rap, right?
Right.
Yeah, one of the biggest national ones, and that happened because they made the movie Colors. I mean, when Dennis Hopper directed the movie, he didn't even know there were gangs in LA. And that year, 300 kids had died to gang homicide. They wanted to shoot it in Chicago. So then they made the movie, and I got a chance to see it, and I said I could make a song for it. So I made the song, which encaptured, you know, the gang mentality. I'm not a gang member. John Boy wasn't a gang member.
Nope.
But when you grow up in LA, you understand gangs.
From the
You know the scene, yeah.
From the opening
Yeah.
line of Colors, you captured everybody. That
Yeah,
I'm a
man,
nightmare walking, a psychopath talking. You were involved, man. At that point.
That was good rapping there, Mel.
Yeah.
What
Not
about
really.
Body Count? Body Count, man.
Aha, rock and
Come
roll.
on, buddy. That's rock and roll.
Well, Body Count came from, once again, my understanding of rock. And I used to go on tour with Public Enemy. And when we would go to Europe, the kids would mosh off of fast rap. If you played something like Terror Dome, or Bring the Noise, there would be mosh pits.
Oh, wow.
And playing in front of a mosh pit, there's nothing like it. So I came home and I said, you know what? Ernie C. has been my childhood friend. He's a virtuoso guitar player. I could put together a band. So I put the guys together. And our deal point was we want to have the punk sensibility of Suicidal Tendency. We want to have the speed of Slayer. And we want to have the impending doom of Black Sabbath. We'll make the record sound like that. And then I'll sing about similar things I rap about, but more dark shit. And it hit right off the top. I mean, the first album, Cop Killer, damn near brought the nation down. I mean,
You got a little blowback on that.
A little.
And then you wound up playing a cop. That's wild.
I'm not Frazer. People say you played a cop. I was playing a cop killer too. I didn't kill them either. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's true.
So I think, of course, when I first played a cop was New Jack City.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's when I was
Masterpiece.
nervous because I'm like, you're putting out an album called Original Gangster. They want you to play the police, but believe it or not, fans understand the difference in acting.
Yeah, they know.
They know. They know.
No, and that
The
New Jack
character.
City was awesome.
You're amazing.
That was
Yeah,
just
the best.
awesome, man.
Yes.
But my favorite thing with all your credits, you got one of the best resumes in show business. But I'll tell you, my favorite credit: hate. The MC at the Player Haters Ball.
Oh shit, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, come on, man.
Dave Chappelle, come on. And the thing of it is, I was such a fan of Dave Chappelle, and I didn't even really know he knew I existed. And I got cold called. They said, "Man, we got the Haters Ball, and we seen you at the Real Players Ball. We need you to come in there and see it." And man, it was cool working with Charlie Murphy, Patrice O'Neal.
Yes,
And both of them.
legends.
At the Real Players Ball, they yell pimp, pimp, pimp,
Yeah,
pimp.
yeah.
When somebody comes out there, they pimp, pimp. So I just switched it up, said, hey.
That was hilarious, man. Well, you know what? We wish you the very best on Bluntheads, John.
very much.
It sounds like it's going to be awesome. And, and we thank both of you guys for joining us today. Ice-T, you are a true legend.
True.
In an era when everybody says people are legends, you really are one, man.
I just opened up a dispensary called the Medicine Woman in New Jersey, in Jersey City. I don't smoke weed. I mean, I've eaten some gummies and stuff, but my partner, I had a chance to get action to get a license because I lived in Jersey. So I partnered with my friends in California who run a dispensary called the Medicine Woman, and we just opened last month out here. So if you're in Jersey City, look us up. It's called the Medicine Woman. So that's another cannabis-orientated business.
Yeah, man, check it out.
Doing
Check it
good
out.
for the world.
That's awesome. Well, we thank you for joining us, John. Success on this on Bluntheads,
Thank
man.
you.
It sounds like it's going to be cool.
Yeah, all we need your entire audience to just download that app.
Follow.
And that's it. Follow us on Instagram, the Bluntheads. And the app is free. You don't have to pay anything. And just laugh and have a good time and share with your friends.
Man, it sounds like it's going to be great. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Kush is already my favorite
Ice-T,
characters.
thank you so much for joining us, man. We are fans.
And Frazer, for those that don't know that still are lost, find me on Twitter at Final Level. That's where we're all trying to get to. And on Instagram at IceMFT. You know what the MF stands for.
Yeah, bro. All right. I think we can figure that out.
AF.
Please say hi to Coco. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's all go out together. Hate.
Hey.
Thanks, guys. Love you,
All right,
buddy.
thank
Thank you, man.
All right, thank you, Frazer.
Bye,
All right.
John.
Hey.
Bye,
All right, thank
T.
you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bye.
There they are. Ice-T, John Watts, thank you for joining us. Frazer Smith Show, presented by the Accident Attorney, SweetJames.com. If you've been hurt in an accident, call 1-800-9-million.